what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and a link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show increases the live audience, of course, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you are new to the channel or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Sleeping Warrior, Rethinking, I don't know who that is, Nummy Num, No Globe, Mike,
I'm the plain
Mark, Chocolate, Arwin and Alan.
I need chocolate. 90% cacao.
Good to have you all, gentlemen.
That cacao, man.
Gotta get on that cacao, dude. Alan, say something.
Hello, boys.
Any ice cream for us today, Alan?
So going back to the whole dish thing, then isn't the opposite thought that we would have to have dishes on our cars? We would have to have a dish pop out of our phone. If you need it for your house, you would have to need it then for every other place. You would have to have the same construct, but you don't.
Yeah, right. Anthony, what I was trying to say is that according to my understanding of radio signal transmission, I don't see how you could focus a incoming radio signal by using a dish, because it's subject to a diffuse reflection, right? It's not going to be a specular reflection. It's not a mirror.
Is it a radio wave, though, the signal that the LMB receives?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't mind trying that.
That would be really cool, because it would just be too funny if it doesn't do anything. And like I say, I'm not asserting this as fact. I'm just speculating. But I personally strongly think that it's just the only thing that's going to matter is where it's pointed, not whether you have a convex saucer on the back of it.
And that there's of course a direct line of sight between the source of the signal and the dish point.
Yeah. I think that the directional thing is going to hold, but not the. I don't see how putting that convex dish on the back of an antenna is going to help focus the signal, because
especially when that satellite's on the other side of the planet.
What do they call that dish, though? It's got a particular name, hasn't it?
Parabolica. It's a parabolic dish.
No, the one for DirecTV / Sky TV. They've got a particular name. I'm sure they call that dish something.
Well, as far as I know, they call it a parabolica.
So when you say you're going to get a dish,
Skynet.
a satellite dish.
Satellite dish.
Right, satellite dish.
Yeah, just like in the beautiful
Trust you,
satellite
Anthony.
photos in space, they always have like the sun panels for their energy, a box, and a satellite dish on them. Always.
Well, what's interesting is they expect us to accept that we can see the International Space Station, which is like, what is it, 600 kilometers high, 400 kilometers high, and it's supposed to be one of the furthest away satellites. It's not one of the nearest ones. All the other satellites are nearer, yet we can't see any of the satellites. And if you look at where your satellite's pointing, it requires a line of sight to receive whatever it's receiving. So they're either bouncing a signal off something, which could be the ionosphere or equal anything, could be somewhere else, who knows, or they're bouncing it. Well, where's that signal coming from? That's the $1 million question. Where is it coming from?
I think most satellites are farther than the ISS.
No,
Yeah,
I thought the ISS was one of the furthest away.
No.
ISS is really close. It's low Earth orbit.
Yeah, they're supposed to be the geostationary, right? So they're going to be at, I think, like 12,000 kilometers, or don't quote me on that, something like that, 20,000 kilometers or something away, because they have to be in the orbital area that's going to maintain a geostationary position. So,
You took in like
always just sitting in one spot.
25,000 miles. That's how far geostationary orbit. I mean, I might be wrong on that off the top of my head, but it's a massive distance.
Sorry, what did you say? 2,500 miles?
Yeah, about 25,000.
Or
Yeah, I don't know the
20,000?
exact.
I'm just looking.
I don't know
now.
the
Bear with
exact,
me a
but it's
second.
pretty damn far to get out there to get into that sweet spot.
Here we go. 35,000 kilometers.
Yeah, or it says 26,199 miles.
Yeah, forget about the fact
sounds
that you could survive those 4,000-degree weather.
I always wonder how is it mathematically possible that not one of these satellites ever hit each other up there.
It's not.
None of them ever fall out of the sky.
Well, you have to remember the massive amount of distance.
I think about what power will be required from the satellite to transmit the signal that distance. I mean, we were talking about the moon before, and it would require trillions of wattages to get up there. How much wattage would be required to send it from that distance back to Earth and cover the whole continent of Europe if it's the Astra satellite, for example? And where does that power come from? Solar panels? Come on.
Yeah, they've got the most efficient solar panels in the universe up there. Just NASA's magic solar panels that they've had since the 60s, right?
Yeah, I've got solar panels that are running my whole house right now.
No, it's just also really just ridiculous. You know, all the most advanced technology is just out of sight, and there's nothing here on the Earth.
I have solar panels that are running my whole house right now. I don't know what the problem is with solar panels.
There's nothing wrong with solar panels. I'm just saying a solar panel that's efficient enough to power an amplifier that could send a radio signal from 26,000 miles away and be
A radio signal I don't think takes that much power.
It does over
broadcast radio, a signal for broadcasting.
To shoot a signal off, it doesn't matter how much distance it has to go. It's still got shot off.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it does matter how much because the signal loses intensity at the.
Yeah, and it matters the geographic area it's meant to be covering as well.
Hey, Donuts. How you doing?
Donuts are fun.
Hello, Donuts. Hold on, Remy. Hold on. Hey, Donuts.
Hey,
are
it's
fun.
Ruhif.
Hey, Ruhif. Good to have you.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello.
How's it going?
So, Ruhif?
Good night. Must be pretty late.
Yeah,
there.
it's 1:30. It is 1:30. I'm going to bed. Yeah, all I came on to say is I made a video today.
Woohoo! Well done. Ace.
That's it. Thank you.
I will watch your video, Ruhif.
Is it the curve on the x-axis by any chance?
Oh no, but that's a good idea for a video. Sure.
Oh well, we're not interested in that unless it's curve on the x-axis.
It was in response to a comment someone left on Nathan's video yesterday.
Plug your video, Ruhif.
Wiggles.
Ignore Anthony.
Are you? You're gonna be a Wiggles apologist?
Oh, I thought it was fantastic. He had the camera in his mouth. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Where can we see this video?
Oh, just on my channel. Yeah, I've uploaded like 7 videos in my life, and 2 of them in the last 48 hours.
Are you defending his presuppositional argument for R? Is that what your video does?
Oh no, but my video does assume R and the height of the ISS.
Oh, great!
Out there.
Oh, that's good. That's
completely
excellent.
meaningless argument that is built on a total fallacy. Yay!
Well, no, it's testing the consistency of a model.
I think there's a hedgehog in your backyard.
Well, a model will always work, though, right?
No. Why would a model always work?
What did you test about the model? That's interesting.
Well, whether the ISS would be illuminated by the sun, given the conditions that this guy said it should, or implied that it should not be.
So, is your model based on the model? Is your answer based on the model, or is your answer based on real world?
Well, it's based on his real world observation. He didn't think it should be visible on a globe.
Well, it's too small to be visible on a globe. That's the real.
Yeah.
Well, no. I'm actually going to go on
yes,
today, 23rd.
It's only the size of a bus, man.
I'm well aware of that. Have you not seen it in the sky before?
Yeah. I have not. I haven't, no.
I've seen what they say is the ISS, and it was absolutely laughable. that anyone could possibly claim that that was a 747 size object, 1.25 million miles above the Earth, because it's huge, and it's just like a beacon of. It looks like a huge star.
So just because it's ridiculous to you, just because you feel like it's ridiculous, it means it's not there?
Well, no,
No,
it's kind of
that's
that
another
scale
reason
argument we had with the x-axis.
Yeah.
What he said, there shouldn't be any curvature on the x-axis because the Earth's that big, and it turns out, hey, what do you know? It's not actually that big at all. What he's saying is that it's that small and it's that far away. It should be like a grain of sand in the sky, if you could see it at all.
No, there's lots of other reasons why it's ridiculous, but also when you actually see it, the idea that you could see an object that size at that distance is totally laughable when you actually see what they're saying is supposed to be an object at that distance.
And further
Have
to
you
that,
guys,
360
have you guys
million
taken
miles.
video of the sun? Have you guys taken video of the sun with and without the solar filter?
I have, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, right. So you know that without a solar filter, the sun looks enormous, right?
Sure.
Yeah, and you put a solar filter on, you actually see how small it is.
Yeah, about the size of the moon.
Yes. Yeah.
Funny
Small
coincidence,
things
that.
look big when they're illuminated.
Do you not
Alright,
think
so
that's a
what's
bit of
this
a
channel
funny
called?
coincidence? It's just I always find that laughable when they just describe it in the heliocentric programming on TV as just a great cosmic coincidence that they're exactly the same angular size in the sky.
Sure. I'm just excited I made a video. I'm happy about that. So
Forget the content.
Channel.
Forget the content. Praise Helios.
Yeah, channel is Roohif, ROOHIF.
So why
Is
are you
my
on a
name
stock
of the
account
show.
called Donuts of
I'll
Fun?
go watch it.
But before anybody, I just want to go over that with Ruhif. So, in terms of the measurements, because this is interesting. So,
This is
yes,
what
when
it's
you
on.
put a solar filter on, you end up with an object in the sky that is the exact same angular size as the sun, and yet it's claimed to be a different size to the sun. Why is that?
Yeah, it's a lot further. The moon's
But if you were
closer,
to
right?
apply my point is, Ruhif, if you were to apply your spherical presupposition and angle those two objects, they come out to exactly the same, don't they?
The moon and the sun.
Yes.
Yeah, they're both half a degree angular size. Yeah.
Right, so when you measure them with trig, they come out to exactly the same measurement, size, position, everything. It's all the same, correct?
No, not position. No, just angular size. They're the same.
Oh,
angular
sorry,
size.
the distance. How do you get the distance then? If they're both the same angular size in the sky, and you make the same measurement to both of them, how do you determine that one is further than the other?
That's the topic of one of my videos as well.
But just tell us.
This is fun. No, I'm preparing a video for it. I'll post it. What was I going to say? Did someone say I'm on a sock?
Yeah, are you on Donuts of Fun?
All right, hang on.
Why would you be on a Donuts of Fun account?
That's my daughter's account that I came on when I got kicked out or booted or something or sniped one day.
Are you obfuscating my question, Ruhif? So, back to my
Well, it's my
question.
daughter's account.
So we've got two things in the sky that when you put a solar filter on, as you correctly point out, they come out to exactly the same size, and therefore when doing trig on them, no matter where you position yourself on
my
Earth, they come
point-
out to the
my
exact
point with the
same
solar
size.
filter-
They come out to the same measurements. They're the same because they're the same angular
No.
size.
My point with the solar filter was that if you don't have a solar filter on, the sun looks huge. If you put a solar filter on, it looks much smaller. That's my point.
Yeah, my point being that it's the same exact angular size and will give you the exact same measurement when you triangulate it as the moon. They come out exactly the same measurements, don't they?
No.
Yes, they do.
How isn't that true?
Yes, they do. Why are you saying no?
I've been
Yes, they
asking-
do. They come out to exactly the same.
No, they come out the same angular size, not the same distance or size.
Why do they
There's
come
no
out
bring
to
this
different
back
sizes then?
to-
Why
There's
is
no
that?
distance coming out.
Hold on.
What do you mean?
Hold on, we're getting
Between-
to him hopefully to answer the question. So why is it that they come out to different distances, Ruhif?
This
Because
isn't even
they're
what he
different
wanted to talk
distances
about.
away.
He wanted to talk about the glare of the sun and using a filter and looking at it.
Let him answer the
That was
question.
all my point was.
No,
and that's
no,
only
no. Let me
true
go
half-
back.
So it's only
Actually,
true
his
for half the
point
day, either.
was
Okay,
his point was to talk about the size of the ISS, and then he brought up the sun with a filter. So that was his
Yes.
original point.
Thank you.
So go back to that because I've lost your point on when you said, well, haven't you ever looked at the sun with a filter? How does that then go back into the size and scale
Actually,
of the ISS?
That was
Well, it's not, but I'm saying that it's interesting that we have the sun used as a certain proof, as a certain distance, as a certain size, and we often have the triangulation for the sun presented when those arguments are put forth. However, as Ruhif has just pointed out, when you bung a solar filter onto the sun, it comes out to the same size as the moon in terms of what you can see of it in the sky. Well, if you're going to claim that the sun is a different distance to the moon, how do you make that conclusion? That's my question.
If Anthony would actually go out, I've asked Anthony like half a dozen times to please get a diopter of the moon. Can he please do that? And then I can make my video.
Sorry, what was that? I didn't hear what he said. I'll just come back to my chair.
Oh,
He was
sorry.
not answering
Like
the question.
No. I'll make a video about distance to the moon and distance to the sun.
You need to make a video. You can't just answer it.
Well, yeah, I'll just get talked over and whatever. The good thing about making videos is you can't get talked over.
Oh no, definitely. If you're gonna,
Well,
give us
I'd
an
like,
answer,
I'd like you to just go back to the point that you made about the distance for the ISS. Still, I'm not sure.
Yeah, the ISS. Clearly, if the ISS was not illuminated, there's no chance you'd like see it, right? You can't just pick it out of the sky if it's not illuminated. Things that are illuminated tend to look bigger. They reflect a lot of light, just like the sun looks huge without a solar filter.
That's not even true, though.
Everything you can see is illuminated, so things aren't bigger. Just
wait. The sun doesn't look huge without a solar filter?
Only at high noon. When the sun's setting, the sun doesn't look huge any smaller or any bigger with or without a sun filter.
Oh, it does.
There's no glare whatsoever?
No.
Yeah, glare makes it look huge.
No, glare makes it look huge at high noon. When it's setting,
all the way down.
The whole day.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Hold on, I can give you a demonstration. Just to put this to rest, hold on. Yeah. Can you all see the screen that I'm presenting to the audience? Yeah. With the sun reflecting down onto a beach. Can you see that?
Yeah, yeah.
Right, now just keep your eye on the sun. Oh, what's happened there?
I reckon refraction's Downley's had a go at that.
Oh, that's interesting. Looks a lot smaller. Should we just make it go big?
Yeah, there's no glare.
Well, there's no solar filter on this footage though, Ruhif. There's zero solar filter here. None.
Well, the atmosphere is filtering out a lot of light, yes.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? That's nice to know.
Literally,
like a new claim.
No, but
Wolfie posted a video on this exact topic.
I have a demonstration. Can we look at this?
Someone bring up Wolfie's video from the other day.
Atmospheric, basically interruption causing a different type of lens.
This is
because
Wolfie's.
the speed
You
is
can't
not
trust.
slowing down as it's moving.
You can't trust sun-size videos unless the solar filter is used.
Correct.
Yeah, but the point I was saying,
Watch what happens here, though.
Yeah, play this video.
I'm being presented.
Yeah, that's obviously got a lot of glare on it.
Now watch. This is the video you were talking about, Ruhif?
Correct, yeah.
What are we supposed to be seeing, though?
He's going to place a solar filter over it. So you see how he pans away so that the sensor is less overwhelmed by the sun.
Look at that x-axis.
Changes the size of the sun.
Yeah, just by moving the camera, the sun gets bigger.
Look at the X. That camera is huge.
Yeah, you know what?
Would you like me to do a video on x-axis as well?
Hold on. Hold on. Can you all be quiet? Mike's trying to make a point, and you've just railroaded him. Can you just let Mike actually make his point and round out his video?
I just remembered Wolfie's video when Ruhif mentioned it, so I thought I'd do him a favor and bring it up.
So I guess that was a no, Nathan. He's not going to let that happen.
Let what happen?
You're not going to show it with the filter?
He does, doesn't he? I think.
He does. He doesn't use a filter. I don't think he does.
Oh, he doesn't?
I'm sure he does.
So what were you showing in that video?
I was about to say, what was that demonstration of then?
Naffle.
I'm sure I've seen him take a filter on and off.
Oh, yeah.
Was it a demonstration that the sun is really, really bright?
Oh, speaking of Wolfie. Speaking
Here
of
it
Wolfie,
is.
guess who won? Guess who won his competition?
Guess who doesn't care about his competition? What was the
He had a
competition?
he had a competition.
What was the competition first?
It was to plot a flight plan on either Google Earth or whatever flat Earth map that you think works.
And
we don't have a flat Earth map that we think works, so
we just know it's not a ball.
Yeah, we all know why that is. I mean,
well, why are you saying that a flat Earth? You just claimed that we had a flat Earth map that we think works, and then
no, I said whatever flat Earth map you think works.
Whatever.
Yeah, we all know why that is.
That we think works. So
Yeah, I found the part in the video where he slides that on.
Called the straw man.
Yeah. Hashtag strawman.
Well, hashtag he's proving his point that you don't have a flat
map,
Earth
but
map.
it's not going to be perfectly to scale.
Yeah, but no one really claims that we do, apart from the odd one or two.
But why not, Anthony?
Because we don't have a flat Earth science. All the science is for the ball Earth.
Maths doesn't change.
Okay.
So you expect us all to become cartography experts just because we bought a P900? Come on.
Yeah. No, cartography is not science in any case. So whatever.
Yeah, but he's expecting us to make a map, right? And that's cartography.
Yeah, but to be able to do it accurately, we need access to the complete confines of this world, all of it.
Jobs. We need to be funded.
Am I being
don't need
presented?
to be funded.
Yeah, you are, Mike.
How
Do you want
would
to just
you map
hold
the
on?
world
Hold on,
without
hold
being
on, hold
funded?
on. Mike, you are
can
being
do it
presented.
by
but
Flypass.
I did present your bit where he plays it with the and without.
Professional argument.
Hold on. Hold on. Yes, Mike, you've presented it. If you want to just play it again, just quickly, just so people can see it in the Hangout.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously this isn't high noon like Riley said, and there's a bunch of glare. Now he puts the filter on.
There we go.
And look at how tiny that is.
Look at that reflection on the water as well.
That's kind of not the
Hold on,
point,
hold
though.
on, hold on.
Yeah,
So
but
if you can
kinda-
just pop
it
it back
proves that
on.
the Earth
Hold
must be
on,
a mirror.
Anthony, hold on. Right, so there's the filtered version. If you can pause it there for a second, and I can show you my sun on the horizon. Yeah, so we'll just conflict between the two. Now if you can go to it without the filter.
Oh, that is pretty.
I wonder if that
Hold
horizon
on, hold on. For the love of God, I just want to get to the end of this. Right, so if I can now go back to mine, if you can pause it without the filter. There you go, just pause it there.
Oh.
Is that YouTube Kids, Nathan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I recognise it.
Here we go. So there we go. There's the sun without it having any filter, but just higher in the sky. No filters needed. And I can do the exact same thing. There you go. Tiny sun. Tiny, teeny, tiny sun. Massive sun. So exactly the same effect. No filter needed.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking at the...
So basically, the thicker air density closer to the Earth is acting like a filter.
Oh, I don't know what it is there. It could be cloud. It could be just a lot of atmosphere. I don't know. Can't say.
I'm lost.
Well, it's known that it's logical that the atmosphere is a lot thicker closer to the Earth than up there. So
You can look at it when it's on the horizon, and you can't look at it when it's at high noon.
Hey, Anthony.
Yeah.
Have you done any testing of your dioptra on your phone?
Yeah, I've not found. I have actually. I've used my phone and my partner's phone to measure the slants that Miles Delia Davis was stood on, and there was 3.2 degrees difference between the two. So for me, I ruled it out as being credible as an accurate measuring device because for some reason but we both have the same phone, both have the same app on it. Yet 3.2 degrees of difference between the observations, and it's like you can only put so much of that down to human error. The rest of it is just inaccuracy on the part of the software or the sensors or whatever.
Yeah, it's the sensors. I did a bit of a test tonight and worked out that my what's it called? The accelerometer. So the thing that it uses to work out what angle it's at. It thinks level. It thinks horizontal is about 1.4 degrees different on my phone, at least.
Yeah, I put 2 degrees down to human error of not getting the exact point, which is a lot, really. And that meant like there was 1 point something degrees of inaccuracy on the sensors. Really, it was nearer to 1 degree of human error, leaving 2 degrees of inaccuracy on the sensors. But that's why I dropped the point against Miles Delay Davis, because when Al K went back and did his measurements, I used 2 different cameras to get an accurate result, and both of them were different. And significant 3 degrees is a lot. So I thought,
It's also a huge difference from 0.6 of a degree on St. Bees Beach to 1.6 or 2.6 degrees.
Not really. It's nowhere near. Are you plucking that figure out of thin air?
Oh no, I'd need you to test your individual phone. Like my sensor is off by like 1.4 degrees. Yours could be anything.
How did you measure your offness of your sensor? How did you get the 1.2 degrees?
I've got a dumpy level.
Yeah, I don't have a dumpy level.
Yeah, well, that's unfortunate. But I set up a little experiment.
How do I test my level then without a dumpy level?
I don't know, but I basically set up my level pointing at the camera of my phone, and then my camera of my phone pointing straight back at the dumpy level, and taking a reading from that.
Now, it'd be interesting if you had 3 dumpy levels and did the same thing. I mean, I'm not saying that you should, but how accurate is accurate with regard to electronic devices, right? And obviously,
wouldn't you want to test more than one phone as well? Because it could just be that some phones are more well calibrated than others, or that you're.
Well, that's what I tried to do. I tested when Miles Delay Davis did his observation, and Al K went back and measured it. Basically, he got a figure in between what we were expecting. So I went back and measured it, and mine was like 2.5 degrees different to Al's. So I thought I'll test it on the other phone, and that was 3 degrees different to Al's. And I was like, shit, what is the actual answer here? So I dropped it because it didn't prove it either way.
I got a little calibration test for the auto level anyway. So I trust that.
Sure. But I don't have that ability. How much was your dumpy level, by the way?
$400, I think.
And is that suit? I mean, $400, right? Does that allow you to do more than just test the accuracy of the calibration on your phone?
Oh no, I plan to like take horizontal measurements from 30 or 40 k's north of Sydney back towards Sydney Tower.
Cool.
That sort of stuff.
Right, so would you be able to measure the X curvature on the horizon?
I will do a video on the X-axis curvature, yes.
Excellent.
Awesome. This is getting great.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm going to bed, by the way. It's 10 to 2. I'm still pretty pumped. I made a video. Haven't made a video in years. Actually, I made a video 2 days ago for Wolfie's Challenge.
I'll check it out. I'll even leave you a like and a positive comment. So thank you for joining, Ruhif. It's been a pleasure as always.
All right.
And to be fair,
Good to see you back, man.
Good night, Albin.
My wife's been asleep.
And to be fair, it's worth giving him a shout out on his video because it takes a lot of time and balls to do a video. So make sure you go to his channel and put the thumbs down for it, like they all do to us.
Yeah, I give a shout out to Ruhif for not being a troll as well, coming in and having a civil conversation like a decent human being. Thank you, Ruhif.
Thank you, Nami. All right, I'll catch you later. Good night.
Bye bye.
See you later.
Later.
Yeah, don't mind talking to Ruhif.
Yeah, he's all right.
Can behave himself at least. Doesn't act like a 5-year-old like most of the guys.
You
He
think with
ranks
enough
alongside
evidence?
Dawn Treader for being like the total sheep. Because
You think
although
with
he's a
enough-
nice guy, he believes anything that Rumpus tells him.
Do you think with enough self-acquired evidence, Ruhif would turn, or do you think
Pardon?
Do you think Ruhif would turn with enough acquired evidence of his own?
No, I think that he would stay on their side because he would dread being trolled by the trolls, like the usual protagonist trolls. I don't think any of them will ever do it. They're blackmailed and bullied into staying on the heliocentric side.
I love the fact that he came on and immediately disclosed that
I think Ruhif would turn before Dawn ever does.
Yeah,
I agree.
I would say like among those more intelligent and decent baller community that he's probably one of the ones that would be less surprising if he turned, but I don't expect that he would turn. Or if he did turn, we'd probably just never hear from him again, right?
Now,
Yeah.
if he's able to turn, then he would rather be on the fence.
Yeah.
And he hasn't given off
Yeah.
any signals that he's even open.
Yeah, because think about it from the
Possibility of
baller's point of view. Would you want to go knowing that you've just changed your position? Would you want to tell the ballers that half of them are trolls that you've changed your position, knowing what's going to happen? Nay.
I wouldn't care.
I think for people like Rumpus and Ruhif, you would need a better replacement model to win them over.
Yeah. Well, no, not true, because I don't have a model that I prescribe to. I just accept that it's not a ball.
No, I was just about to say that. Sorry, can I just drop this in? Because the first thing he disclaimed was that he'd presupposed R when he'd done it. So he's fully conscious of what he's doing. He knows he's basing it on a presupposition. A model is a presupposition. So he understands that, but he's happy to presuppose it at the moment. Well, perhaps if enough evidence goes against his presupposition, he might change his position.
Yeah, when he tries doing the X curvature claim and then realizes that he can't get any and then thinks, perhaps there is none. And Dawn Treaders knows that the horizon's flat. All the ballers, they all say that the horizon's flat, but it's because the ball's so big. Now they've realized that it's not as big as what they tell us it was, and they've realized that there's a scale issue, and now they've got to all start finding curvature to be able to support the position. And what happens if, they can't find any? Then that dumpy level that he's bought's not much use, is it?
Well, I think they'll just come up with another reason why there's no curve on the x-axis.
Of course, but how many times do you have to make excuses for why these things can't be seen? When it says in the model,
no way. There's no way that it's gone into the calculator without a lot of consideration going into it. You know, there's just no way. It's there. To remove it is totally fallacious also. You can't just remove it. Once it's there, and it's because it's logically obvious. If you're on a ball, Nathan, it curves away from you in all directions. It's as simple as that.
Nathan, Rotty Robbins says, the Earth is huge. What the fuck are you talking about?
Go look at Metabunk. Go look at Metabunk. They say it's calculable, and it should be calculable. Obviously, if you're on a sphere, you're on a sphere, and it's curving away from you in every direction. Therefore, you're not just going to get curvature obstructing things on the y-axis. You are going to have x-axis curvature also, calculably, and that is a fact. You don't have to like it, ballers.
And not just it should be there. According to Metabunk, there are various ways to measure it. So now there's a dumpy level on the scene. Guess what? That dumpy level is going to have to be put to good use. And good luck with that one. To be honest, we'll support you all the way through. We'll support you, and let's see what you come back with.
Yeah, we're counselling him from globe indoctrination.
Now, what do you say to the people who they say you don't have an argument because you don't have a model?
Models are pseudoscience. Models aren't proof of anything. Models are just pseudoscience. Ruhif just disclaimed that. Yes, he has to make presuppositions. That's what a model is. So it's just another begging the question fallacy. Models are pseudoscience.
And yes, in addition, what's the expectation of us? If the expectation of us is to have a working model to support the flatness, well, firstly, there is no money. There is no science for a flat Earth. All the science is for ball Earth. There's no scientists. There's nobody with time. Nobody's getting paid a wage. The most we've got is a P900 and a compass. What do you expect?
So you got your work cut out for you.
No, we don't.
But you don't have an argument until you have that, right?
That's not true. The argument is that we don't live on a ball. The argument is not that here's the model that we do live on. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it doesn't. Our
but if you're going to say what something's not, I mean, you got to have something else to replace it.
No, you don't. You don't need a just so story to pummel someone else's fairy tale. You just pummel the daylights out of it and show her it fails, which is what we're doing. If you live on a ball, you need to be able to see curvature. Where's the curvature?
Why would you expect us to have a working model when we're saying that that's unreasonable? But
because you guys believe it.
Hang on.
We disbelieve the ball.
Hang on. Why is it unacceptable that we say it's unreasonable to have a working model when you guys say it's unreasonable to stick a camera on the back of a rocket and show us what happens for the continuous journey period up to space without cuts or changes? And you say that's unreasonable.
I don't say that's unreasonable, and they've done that.
Well, maybe you don't say that, but the ballers, generally speaking, do. They say that's unreasonable. For example, Jeremy says that numerous things that are considered to be reasonable are unreasonable because he doesn't like them. So it's like, well, how many things are considered unreasonable from our side of it? But you think that we should map out a whole world based on the camera?
I can't speak for anybody else, but I know that the reason they don't put cameras on they don't put it on them for you guys. They put them on there for their engineers to look at. If something goes wrong, they'll know exactly what happened. They'll go frame by frame. I think
You know how ridiculous that sounds?
Yeah, exactly. It's us that pay them the money to do it.
Exactly.
And there's no
You know,
public.
when the shuttle failed, the shuttle launch failed, the only reason they found out what went wrong exactly is by watching the footage frame by frame.
The shuttle, man.
You mean the shuttle where all the? You mean the Challenger disaster where all the staff are still alive bar one of them?
Yeah, yeah. Conspiracy. Yeah,
They're all alive, dude.
Okay, well, prove that.
one.
No, there's just people who happen to have their same names that look identical to them. It's perfectly normal. Just exactly.
Or they happen to be a twin. Just magically.
No, they were all clones specifically to create the conspiracy theory.
Guys, what
now
is
we're onto a whole new subject.
that? What is weird about that? That's totally exactly what you'd expect, isn't
It stems from your claim that we should have a working model, right? And my point is, well, why would you expect us to have a working model when you can't put a camera on a rocket and claim that we can show the Earth?
I'm just saying, you would get a lot more people on board if you had a model that made predictions.
But we have no science for a flat Earth.
That's all I'm saying is all these people like Ruhif and Rumpus, you want to get those people on your side, that's what you have to do.
No,
but that's
there is no science for a flat Earth.
Well, we need a lot more power, a lot more
because what we're using right now
money,
makes these
resources,
predictions.
and
If you-
government
if you guys-
permission to get that done, and we're not getting it.
What you're saying
guys
is that
can't make
what you're saying is that we have to make a fallacious argument in order
Correct.
to get on our
I'm
side.
saying, if you guys can't make predictions, why the hell should I waste my time believing anything?
we can make predictions.
Here we go.
I'll make
Baby
a prediction.
steps.
The sun will rise in the morning.
Baby steps. Here we go. Okay, baby steps.
How
right
do
here.
you know that?
Because
Listen
it's
to
a
me. Hold
pattern.
on.
The
Hold
frequency.
on. From
Anthony, let him
scale.
do his
Okay, we're
baby
gonna
steps.
argue. I'm gonna argue from scale. A body of water that is contained is always level, no matter what the size. So let's start from a puddle and go to a bathtub and go to a pond and go to a lake. This is my model, Mike. I'm looking at that model of the Earth, and then I turn around and look at a great, grand, vast body of water that models the exact same mechanics and physics of water that is flat. That is my model. And I have repeatable, testable, verifiable proof that water maintains a level, no matter what the scale. You cannot tell me that the scale of the ocean is so big that it eventually curves, because at every level of scale, water is level. That's my model.
It's an aspect. It's not really a model, but we get the
Well,
point.
I'm just trying to give him what he wants. But what are you going to do with that?
Nothing.
I don't really know.
Well, that's
Exactly.
reasonable to say. But see,
Accept. Why is it that you don't accept disproving the current model as credible?
Because I haven't been shown that it's wrong.
Where have you been for the last?
To my
What have you not been shown that you need to be shown for you to satisfy yourself that the
first of all, I've been living my life for the past 3 years.
Right. So what bit of evidence have you not seen that you need to see to satisfy yourself that we don't conform to a sphere?
That's a tough one.
Have you ever seen a body of water curved?
Yeah.
Where have you seen that?
Yeah.
Satellite imagery.
Oh, right. Soundly. Right. So do you know what distance Soundly did his work at?
No,
No,
satellite.
I think, yeah, he said satellite.
okay, but wait a minute. Let me just go back to what I would say to someone if I was having a conversation. I would say my rejection of your suggestion that satellite imagery is real is my experience here on Earth of water. The reason why I'm going to tell you that that photo is a lie is because of what I know about water. That's why I can tell you that's fake. I don't have to go. That can't be. It can't be. It's impossible. Why? Because water's always level. That's why the photograph is false, because of what I know about something else in the mechanical, physical world.
And besides, it's Photoshop because it has to be. Remember?
Yeah.
Yep.
So Mike, my question to you
Photoshop
again.
because it has to be.
That's what he quoted.
That's what the
Mike.
NASA guy said.
Yeah, Mike. My question
I
to
don't
you
know about
is
that.
okay, Mike. Mike,
You
my
don't know
question
about
to you.
the artist?
That's a bit of an issue if you're going to claim that you haven't seen the evidence to support the Earth not being a ball, when that's one of the key points against the idea that it's a ball based on satellite images.
It was presented in the Sunday show, so Sunday evening show. So if
Hey,
you want to
Rumpus.
look that back.
Rumpus can't come in the last 10 minutes.
Anyway,
we always
Mike.
can.
Yeah, you can.
Anyway,
Hi,
my challenge to you then is to simply, you're at a point where you said, I don't know how to answer that, and that's fine. That's acceptable to say I don't know. That's fine. But
No, I just had to think what would prove to me that the Earth is flat, because that's a very difficult question
You don't have
because
to
there's
prove
so
it's
much evidence to the contrary.
No, you don't have to
that
prove it's flat. You just have to prove it's not a ball.
No, he's thinking. He asked me earlier what would be sufficient evidence that it's flat, and that's the question I answered. I'm not really sure
There's
yet.
so much evidence to the contrary. Well,
Yeah.
what is that then? Because I don't know a lot of evidence that is to the contrary of it being
The
flat.
entire current paradigm that you guys are going against.
The what?
The paradigm.
It's not that difficult to go against the paradigm when there's no evidence to support it. Why do you think there's a load of evidence that supports it?
What do you think a paradigm is?
A concept, a belief, a structure.
It's a collection of foundational.
Okay, and if you guys go against paradigm, you have the burden of proof.
No, that's not true.
That's ridiculous.
No, we disprove.
That's a logical fallacy. That's
Let
reversing
me-
the burden of proof.
Can I ask you a question? If any of us, do you think that if any of us have ever seen or encountered an actual curved body of water in real life, would we be here debating if it's flat?
yeah, I mean, if we went by
I don't
photos,
know.
we'd be there with you.
That's such a weird question.
It's a good question though. Why do you think we're here?
You're tiny. I don't expect you to see a
Yeah, that's what
a
Dawn
bass-
tried
I
to
don't
think.
know what you're imagining, but it's the Earth
Okay,
isn't a
but
basketball.
listen, Mike.
Yeah, but
We're
it's
tiny, but we
2018.
act
We have
very,
we
very
have
far.
airplanes, we have aircrafts, we have all these things that go very high, that take high altitude pictures. We have balloons. We have all these things that take pictures and show us things.
Mike,
And you
you're
guys don't
presupposing
believe it.
something. Let me try to show you that you're presupposing something by defaulting to scale again. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, no matter what the scale is, it's going to be level. But you just said the scale will show you that there's curves. But my question, no,
is
listen,
not flat.
no, but listen to me. Listen, my statement is that you have to already presuppose something where you say eventually a level surface will curve. You are already presupposing the curve.
Yes, at the
You're
macro
already,
level, there's going to be curve. Yes.
but you're already
micro
presupposing
level-
that it is. You can't
Is that
prove
Rumpus?
that. But you can't prove that based on your previous experience of any other smaller body of water. It's always level. There's no reason for you to then say, but this great, vast body of water will eventually curve. The only reason for you to say that is you already suppose it's on a curve. That's begging the question. That's assuming your conclusion. And I'm telling you, you have no reason to do that. When you look out on the ocean, your only reasonable conclusion is it's the same as every other body of water, contained
Yeah. And
and
if I were to
level.
walk into a radioactive place and just use my common sense, I would say, yeah, it looks pretty safe here. But in reality,
Okay,
it's
that's
not exactly what it
that is
seems.
a completely different
It's just-
scenario that has no correspondence. That's not correspondent to
It's
what we're
actually
talking
wrong
about.
because if it
Just-
is a long-term
just looking
radioactive
at
area, you
something-
would see in science, you would see that it's very dead.
Just for the audience, that's called a false equivalency fallacy.
And you could have done that in Japan 4 days after Hiroshima, so you'd have been okay.
Yeah, okay, but
I'm just saying, common
If it's
sense is not
long-term
the best way
radioactive, you would
to
know.
come to conclusions.
You would see
Your
it.
common sense often fails you, right? We can agree
Except
on that.
for except
Our
for
common
the
sense and our senses don't get us
There
through
is-
life every day.
There is a balance, but common sense doesn't
All right,
help you.
so
in a
I'm
lot of
supposed.
areas.
So let me ask you this. So I'm supposed to just ignore my senses when my
you're
senses
supposed to
don't
use-
tell me that I don't feel like I'm spinning. I don't see curve. I don't do any of that. I'm supposed to ignore all that because the scientists tell me that
No, we're
I'm
supposed
just
to
so
use
small that I
tools.
don't feel it.
No, it's because of pictures. It's because of media. Because there are pictures and CGI, and
You can
that
use
is what you lean
tools.
on. That
You can
is
use
your
tools
official
to
weapon.
quantify things that are much better than your common sense. That's why we invented tools, to get more precise measurements.
Excellent. So you can show us a precise measurement of Earth curvature then.
Yeah,
You
and
go.
we're
No,
actually using those tools to basically prove the Earth is flat. Ranty and Riley have been doing a lot of that recently. So, yeah.
well, if they did that, I'd be waiting for a Nobel Prize announcement.
Oh, well, that's just outrageous. You know, we're YouTubers. So to say that we're going to get peer reviewed along with the rest of the people who are scratching each other's back and telling them, as Anthony's pointed out to you, that it's a sphere, and they all pat each other on the back and say, yes, that's correct. Us pseudoscientists have peer reviewed it, and we say it's correct. Masses, you must all accept this religious belief with no evidence. So we want you to provide us actual... We just want
If
you
you
to
guys
provide...
had irrefutable proof that the Earth is flat or that the heliocentric model is wrong in any sense.
It's not about
You
being
would
right
be-
or wrong. It's a model. We don't live on a model.
The model makes predictions in reality.
The model, hail the model, our idol.
So
It's
you
just a
gotta
model.
completely ignore what I just said.
Yeah, because it's
No,
just
we're
a
not
model.
gonna
A
ignore, we're gonna dismiss-
pseudoscience model is not proof of anything at all, ever, because it is pseudoscience.
So our model makes no
Well,
prediction.
astrological chart.
Why are you telling me about what predictions it can make? The guy who came on earlier, Ruhif, who is actually intellectually honest, immediately disclaimed that he had to beg the question, right? And we all commended him because he's more smart than you. You don't even realise you're doing it and you're arguing with me. That's why I'm getting annoyed with you. Ruhif accepts that he has to beg the question. You don't think you are because you're a moron.
I never said I wasn't.
Well, okay, fine. We all accept you're a moron.
Okay, you perfectly accept you're begging the question. Are you aware that's a fallacious argument?
Yes.
You know
Excellent.
what a fallacy is?
Do you?
Yes, I do.
Yes,
I'm
we all
asking
understand
you.
what fallacies are. That's why Ruhif came in and kept on our good side by disclaiming his fallacy immediately.
Do you know when you make a fallacious
Okay,
argument?
I can't come in, sit back, have a cup of coffee, and have a casual conversation. It's gonna be, you must say everything up front or else. What? I just came in here to have a conversation.
Oh, here we go. Now it's victim time. Look, dickhead, if you beg the question here, we will jump all over you. I don't care how much of a victim you feel. I will call you a fuckwit, a retard, and a moron if you beg the fucking question here. Don't like it? Piss off.
He pissed off.
Good. Don't want to be feeling like you're bullied? Don't beg the question. Simple. Globers out
Nathan,
there, that's what you get if you beg the question.
Can I ask you a question about? Can I ask you a question about your disdain for models? So your point on models is that you have to
He left already. He left.
Nathan did?
No.
Me? No,
Okay.
I'm hosting the show.
Yeah. So
I can't leave.
Nathan,
I'm stuck here.
yeah, all right. Okay,
Nathan.
but your point for models is that it's recreating a false construct. That's right. Is that your point?
No, it's not proof. It's not scientific proof. A model is just a measuring tool. It's just like maths can assist you in trying to figure out patterns and all that, but it's not. You can't use it as actual proof. It's
The model
pseudoscience.
is the model.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, so let me ask you. Okay, so let me say I'm a sixth grader and I'm I believe the Earth is flat and I want to show a model to my sixth grade class and I show smaller scale models of bodies of water. That, in my mind, is okay.
No, but that's aspect. You're proving a concept. It's not
Well,
a
there
model.
are cases where scale will actually have an effect on the overall general what you can say generally about a phenomena, right? So it's not a rock solid argument to argue from a scale.
Well,
not
you're
every
basically
every
saying,
scalable argument, not every example is going to be scalable. So.
well, you're basically saying not every analogy breaks down at some point. I mean, it's only good so far as it goes.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm saying that it's
Yeah.
not absolute rock solid kind of proof. Generally,
Yeah, it's a collection. Of
can I just add something to that? So if you're going to use that again, false equivalency, and say that I can use a bathtub and compare it by scale to a body that is a lake, for example, well, your model requires all sorts of things that have never been scaled in the small scale. For example, gravity. Now, if you want to claim that false equivalent, then you have to show me a ball in small scale with water stuck to it.
Right. Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah. I get that part. Sure. Yep.
I'm still waiting to see that.
Yeah. I mean,
Where are the scientists on that one?
Or you have to go the opposite way and start building something so large, like a huge merry-go-round, and then show that the centrifugal spin depletes as the bigger the scale goes.
Right. In other words, demonstrate some of the nonsense that holds the heliocentric bullshit together.
Yeah, build a giant merry-go-round and spin it at 500 miles an hour and see if anybody flies off.
Yeah, and see if you perhaps could emulate, using a centrifuge, how a vacuum can coexist with liquid water. That would be
right. So we take that merry-go-round, we put some water on it, we put it in a vacuum chamber and see if that works.
Yeah, sort of. But I bet it has to spin at phenomenal speeds to even attempt to.
No, what are you talking about? PMAR said it's slow.
Yeah, no, but I mean to make a vacuum coexist with a non-vacuum, then you'd have to probably go like a million rotations a second or something, and I think it probably won't even work then, because
yeah,
a vacuum just can't coexist with a non-vacuum. It's just not possible.
Yeah, that's another one for the list that Anthony's making. Vacuum next to a non-vacuum, proof of R, proof of a molten iron core that can exist.
And hang on a minute, you're the admin to the show, I'm not.
Air pressure without a container.
Yeah, somebody needs to produce evidence that pressure against a non-pressure environment can exist without a membrane. I can't remember who it was that, although. Who was that?
Quantum Eraser.
And I reckon we should give it like a general shout out to anybody that can prove an astronaut can survive inside a spacesuit in a vacuum.
When people super chat
this list could get really
who's willing to sacrifice themselves for their ball?
Mark
for
science.
a spacesuit in a vacuum chamber. If you believe
it's science, man.
Or evidence that a rocket can work inside a vacuum as well. Lots of interesting vacuum experiments that have yet to be done.
Yeah, I had a conversation with a guy and his girlfriend in the bar the other night, and he argued that it's not a complete vacuum; it's a semi-vacuum, so that's why the rocket propulsion would work.
Oh, right. It's a semi-vacuum. Well, how does it work when you get near the moon?
No, I get it. I'm just telling you, they've got their.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's a poor argument, right?
Because that's a normie argument, though, isn't it? That is that would never come onto this show. I mean, that's a normie argument.
Yeah.
It's also a stupid argument because that to get off the moon and get back, the propulsion that's required in a semi-vacuum would need to be double. And how much fuel did they have at the end of their 3-day journey there? Then they landed, and then 3 days to get back. They've got to get up to a velocity. I can't remember what it was exactly, but it was something like 16,000 miles per hour. And they've got to thrust off. Yeah, okay, they're in the vacuum of space, but they've got like a fraction of the air that they've got in the semi-vacuum that to be able to thrust off. So they would need double the amount of thrust that they did do on the way there because they were thrusting off the Earth's air. But when you're in the moon, you've got to thrust back. You've got to build up your velocity quick enough to get back in 3 days and also do that in half the air or a fraction of the air that you had. So you would need an exponential amount of fuel. And we all know how much fuel they didn't have on the return journey. It's logistically impossible. It's ridiculous.
I don't think they make it subtle, though. I don't think they're... I mean, this is a JLB narrative, I'm not going to lie. I've got this from him. But he basically points out that this stuff isn't well done. It's not a really clever deception. You know, you've only got to have an ounce of discernment to see that the moon landings were as fake as they come.
It really isn't, though. Like, it's not sophisticated at all.
No, That's
The
his point.
holes
He's
are
saying that.
thin.
But it's the same with 9/11.
I mean, if you start digging into it, it's not sophisticated. If you
No.
just look at it from the background, like most normal people
exactly
do,
the same.
it's cool. It
Elaborate, but not
works.
sophisticated.
Yeah,
That's JLB's
you know,
whole
it's
argument.
cool,
He's
it
saying that
works.
they're not trying to make it in such a clever deception that they hoodwink you, that they leave it at least obvious enough for people to figure it out. So his argument is that, you know, some people will figure out that the moon landings are hoax and suddenly feel really special about themselves, like they figured out this amazing trick. And in reality, it's not there as a really cunning deception.
No, because once you start looking at it, you just start seeing how it just falls apart. Each part, like the moon landings, the like every aspect of the moon landings just falls apart.
Well, there's
As soon
like
as you
one
start
word
looking at it.
debunk. One word debunk for the moon landings is backdrops. For the ISS, trapeze. You know, you've only got to say one word about the people on the ISS. Just look at a trapeze artist, and then you'll see what they're doing. Simple.
Yeah. Van Allen belts.
But that's
Okay,
their
come on.
narrative. I mean, that is their bullshit, you realise?
Yeah.
You know, I would think that looking at the ISS astronauts, that their body language would be so relaxed and loose. And as a matter of fact, I watched this one presentation from an astronaut where he said that in space, you don't have to hold your head up, meaning you don't have to fight against arc and gravity. But when you look at those guys, despite the fact that, you know, okay, if there's cables or whatever, they look like they are in the most uncomfortable position.
When they're standing there doing the interviews, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just like it's just like they're all like scrunched up and like in a very tense, tight, and it just does not look normal. But if you're in space, wouldn't you think it would just be so fluid and loose? And it's to me that's an evidence.
Well, it should look like what it looked like on the 0G shuttle. You know, when they're doing the parabolic maneuvers to actually.
Yeah, there you go. That's
yeah,
good. Yep.
when they're actually
Yep.
doing free fall maneuvers in the shuttle, and it looks like
Yep.
0G. That, you know, like you say, you've only got to tap somebody and they'll move across the whole of the shuttle. And that's when they were actually doing proper parabolic free fall maneuvers. But they've just mapped the CGI effects of things like water and necklaces and all that stuff into the ISS high wire circus act that they now present to people. You know, that's just so blatantly wire work. It's obvious.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a big quick shout out to Dilly Gill, DILLYGILL. So Dilly Gill is at the moment my favourite NASA debunker because he's focused specifically on one aspect of how they fake us currently, and that's how they mapped the CGI, how they came up with these bubbles that they map into the, you know, the guys on the ISS when they're putting ink in the water and all that sort of stuff. The way they've got that information from is by filming in parabolic maneuvers, and it's Dilly Gill that's exposed this. So check out his channel. I've watched his stuff probably 3 times all the way through, and he's not got short videos. You know, they're about 45 minutes long, and he's got maybe a 13-part series on how they've mapped the CGI for the ISS and how they've tricked people when they were doing those missions into believing that they were actually in freefall maneuvers. The length of tapes that they've used, the cuts that they've used, he goes into extreme detail. He's done a very, very good analysis of how they fake us. So check out Dilly Gill. Well worth spending a significant amount of time checking out his material.
Subbed.
Yeah, he's got a lot of videos.
Have you seen Dilly Gill stuff? Yeah,
I've seen 1 or 2. It's been a little while though. I know I saw one on the space shuttle. I think he did.
Yeah. He's basically putting forward that it's a 0G plane as opposed to anything that's going out servicing Hubble.
Right.
You want to know something interesting that I discovered about the shuttle that I haven't seen pointed out before? I read the Richard Feynman's report on the Challenger accident, and at the very end of the document, he reveals that the shuttle was actually based on the B-1 bomber design and used the same flight computers. Like he said, he basically admits that it's just a refitted B-1 bomber. Very interesting. I've just never seen that pointed out anywhere else, but it's in Richard Feynman's report. But I've never seen that acknowledged by NASA, that they actually just used the specs for a B-1 bomber and just refitted it so that it would fit, that they could hold cargo inside.
Wow.
And they attached the rockets on the back, of course. But that just an interesting little fact.
And that's from the Richard Feynman report, you say?
Yeah. Richard Feynman's report on the Challenger disaster, which is, you know, a huge indictment of NASA in its own way, although without revealing that, you know, NASA's hoaxery, but just that little tidbit came out in there, and I think that's very just noteworthy.
Yeah, that's his report focused on O-rings, didn't it?
Yeah, but just at the very end of the document, he mentioned, or towards the end of the document, he mentions that, in fact, the shuttle is basically a B-1 bomber, and that they use the same, because he's actually talking about it in the context of the fact that they were using an outdated computer system from the 60s that came with the B-1 bomber and that they didn't update it.
I see. Well, with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you like this show, you know what to do. Smash the like button and subscribe. If you hated it, you also know what to do. Massive thanks also to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!